Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Everton Motor Racing Podcast. This is episode number 90, nearly at 100. It's been a while. We've had a few weeks away. Sorry about that, but I hope you did enjoy the most recent podcast I did with Sean Dillon Kelly and Max Toth. That was a fun one. Very enjoyable. Go back and listen to it if you would like. Very good one. As well, thank you for everybody who has subscribed to the podcast as well. Much appreciated. You're helping support the podcast, and obviously you'll get special content and things like that as time goes on. So yeah, look out for that as the season goes on. I'm sure we'll be pumping out some content for you as the season goes on, as I've just said. But it's episode 90. We didn't do who can guess number 89. Like, I already can't get my words out. This is great.
Good start.
Yeah, standard practice for me. But episode 89, we didn't pick riders with number 89. So Lauren is the only person with me today because Cameron's in Portugal. Selfish mother trucker. So I'm going to need riders with number 89, please, Lauren.
Well, Cameron and I aren't very good at this anyway. But the only one I can think of is, of course, Jorge Martin.
Yeah.
So that's all I've got in the locker here with the riders with 89.
I mean, Jorge Martin is, like we say, the obvious one. I think most people get that one, so that's all right. There are a few others. There's Marcos Uriarte, who runs in the Junior GP for the Laglis squad. Fraser Rogers in BSB. Alan Tesher as well. That's about it, really. So then what about riders with number 90? That's a tough one. There is one that I can think of who made like a... There's two, actually, think about it. There's one who used to race in Grand Prix years ago. And then there's one who made a Moto 2 wildcard appearance a long time ago.
No, I'm not even going to try and embarrass myself to try and to think of anyone. No.
Yeah, might be the best. So there is Lucas Mahias did a wildcard years ago, man, number 90.
Right, okay.
And then the one that did one at full time was Adrian Gaiutai. I can never pronounce his name. And he ran, I think, in the 125 class way back when. But yes, so we are back. It's just me and Lauren this time, like I've said, because Cameron is away. Obviously, there is no Jacob. Basically, without going into detail, we've parted ways with Jacob on the podcast. Wish him the best of luck with his new podcast. But yeah, Jacob will no longer be appearing on the podcast. So yes. Anyway, moving on. So we've had, obviously, we're on to race week now. This week, we will see the riders in all three classes go back on track. Finally, after quite a while, since late November. And yeah, I've got mixed feelings about this season, to be honest. I don't know about you, Lauren.
I'm really excited about this season. I can't lie. The only thing I'm not excited about is sprint races.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about that loads, though. I just think it's a bit much. I think doing it at some circuits would have been cool, like they do at F1, but to have it added like constantly to the calendar is something I'm a bit worried about. But overall for the season, I'm really, really excited. I think there's just so much, I don't know, like interesting moves, riders with new teams, rookies, like in all three classes. It's going to be really, really exciting. And I don't know if it's just because I'm like weirdly obsessed with the sport that I think it's going to be good. But no, yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really good season. And hopefully Ducati won't just run away with it.
That's very true. I think it's going to be a tricky one. Like, I don't know, like, obviously we've got sprint races coming up and I'm like, yeah, more bikes on track, but I'm also like, more work.
Yeah.
But also I'm like, I don't know, like it should be really good. Personally, I'm just a bit like, about this season. I don't know why, I've got like a weird feeling about it.
Oh, yeah. I do think it's going to throw a complete spanner in the works. I feel like this season is going to be completely different to the last couple of years. And I don't really know why, because nothing is really changing apart from the sprint races. But yeah, I feel like there is sort of a weird feeling coming into
Aura.
this year. Yeah, there is, isn't there? I don't know.
Yeah, I can't actually pinpoint why. Can't pinpoint what it is, but yeah, it's gonna be a weird one. We've got 21 rounds this year as well, which is gonna be a
Mm.
long season.
Well, maybe
Hopefully,
20, because
maybe
India
20.
has been
Yeah,
already spoken about, maybe not happening.
yeah. India might not go ahead because it's something to do with track, I believe, and them not being able to have the everything ready on time. So see, it has to basically these tracks have to go through like homologation.
Mm.
And they're basically saying that the Indian track might not be ready. Like with the Finland track that has never appeared, or the Circuit of Wales track that we were meant to have years ago that also never materialised.
Let's go back to
But
Donington.
yeah, let's go back to Donington. Why not? Just add another Donington in there, another British Grand Prix. Why not? But yeah, so the Indian one might not go ahead. So that might bring it down to 20. I would like to see in the MotoGP title fight. I wouldn't want to see it wrapped up like 4 or 5 rounds to go.
Yeah.
You know, it was nice last year that it went down to Valencia. Like, obviously,
Mm.
we kind of knew when we hit Valencia that it was going to be Pecco. Obviously, still anything can happen. You know, Pecco could have broke his leg and not raced, and Fabio could have won. But we kind of were at the thing where it was like, this is going to be Pecco's title to lose at this point.
Yeah.
So I want to see it basically be a bit more open this year because last year was a bit more. It was kind of a Ducati Cup, and I think looking at the testing results and things like that when we had Portimao, it's very much a Ducati Cup again. You know, you look at the top 10, you got Bagnaia, you got Zarco, and you got Quattararo in third. Don't know where the hell he pulled that from.
Yeah.
He said he used a 2021 setup and managed to get some data, which is really good.
Mm.
Then it goes back to Bazzacchi, Bastianini, Marquez, Martin, Binder, and then Leish. Like that is an insane amount of Ducatis in the top 10.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Ducatis in the top 10?
I mean, at points there was like all 8 of them in the top 10 as well, which is just a bit
Yeah,
ridiculous. Although, in saying that, like, if it is competitive and it just so happens to be Ducatis, like, it will be annoying. But if it's competitive racing and we have the element of, like, we don't know who's going to win it, then I do think that it will be still an interesting championship to watch. It'll just be
oh yeah,
that bit annoying that it is all Ducatis and the other manufacturers aren't getting close to them. But maybe in a couple of years, the other manufacturers will be able to have made that step up. Or even throughout the
mm,
season, they might be able to make that step up. Like, we're not sure. I feel like we sort of assume that every week Ducati are going to dominate, and they usually do in qualifying. But then in the race, there is always, a couple other manufacturers up there, and they
yeah,
threw a spanner in the works. So I
yeah.
think it'll be good.
Like Fabio, for
Yeah,
example, has got the potential to absolutely throw some spanners in the works.
Mark
Um,
Marquez. If
Marquez,
the
of
Honda's
course.
working, then we'll see about that. I'm not too sure about that
Yeah,
one.
Marcus was not a happy bunny, was he, after Portimao
No,
again?
no.
Basically saying that the Honda haven't really made a step forward, which is great. That's just what you want going into a season.
Let's hope he's
Um,
sandbagging.
yeah,
I don't
maybe
think
they
he
are.
is, but
No, I don't. But if there's anyone who can extract everything out of a motorbike, it will be Marc
yeah,
Marquez. Much like Fabio on the Yamaha at the moment. I think Aprilia are showing some great signs. I
yeah.
think obviously Aleix looks really good as always. Miguel Oliveira looks really comfy on that Aprilia as well. You know, he's zero point 0.6 on day 2 of the test from P1. May as well get the combined days up, which I don't think it'll change too much. No, it's pretty much identical. Yeah, all the best times are set on day 2. But, you know, Oliveira, Vinales, and Aleix are very much matched with each other. They're literally like within a tenth of each other on the day 2 combined times. Ralph Fernandez has adapted quite well to that Aprilia as well. I think the Aprilia's got a lot of potential in that. It's just if they can kind of, obviously it is only testing, so they're not trying to just bang as fast as lap time in that they can. Um, but Bagnaia was very fast and actually set an all-time lap record at this year's test. He was the first
Mm.
ever rider to drop into the 37s. He did it in testing at Portimao last week. That is scary. That is straight away setting a precedent that I'm out here to double this up. I'm out here to save my my record. I want to win
Yeah.
2 titles.
I think so, but like it's obvious that he's gonna want to come out really strong, picking the number one plate. A lot of people doubting him last season. He knows himself now, he's got to come in guns blazing. I think it'll be interesting now. I think Enea Bastianini is gonna cause absolute chaos
Chaos.
and carnage. So I think Pecco knows himself that to retain the title and to repeat, winning, he's gonna have to start strong because that was his downfall last season. He could have had the championship wrapped up very early on if he just performed at the start of the season rather than performing halfway through the season. So, yeah, he knows what he has to do, but I don't
Yeah.
know if he'll be able to do it with the likes of Bastianini breathing down his neck from
That's a
the
thing.
get-go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was watching that Dorna produce. Obviously, they put it on their own thing, and now they put it on YouTube.
Mm.
Their own little Drive to Survive thing this year. What's it called? There can be only one. I was watching that. I'm on the last episode now. No spoilers.
Yeah, I haven't
Not that
watched
there's
it
any spoilers. There isn't really spoilers. We know Pecco with the title, but it is really good. There's only 4 episodes, but it's really good because you see they're in like the Ducati garage and they're at Sepang. And Pecco crashes in FP3, yeah, and has to go to Q1, and they're like, oh no, Pecco, and it's like Pecco's like, oh, they're like, stop letting the pressure get to you, stop letting them get in your head and all that, and Pecco's like, oh, they're not in my head, it's fine, I'm just trying to get these lap times in, and they're like, yeah, but they're getting into your head by you trying to do this, and by you trying to show that you can do this, and it's quite interesting to see how Pecco reacted to pressure, because then he went out again. I think it was then Q2, because he got through Q1,
Yeah.
at Q2, and crashed again. And then they're all like, calm down, dude. And he's like, oh, I'm just trying to da-da-da-da. And then obviously Fabio messed his lap up, had a broken finger and things like
Yeah.
that. But it was interesting to see Pecco's mentality, because he has this thing where he's either on it or his head just goes south.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it'd be
big
interesting
time.
to see, yeah. And like Jack Miller, I love Jack Miller, of course. Shout out to Jack Miller as well, who's going to be a dad.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. Congratulations to him and his wife. What's his wife's name, man? I can't remember her
Ruby?
name. That's it, Ruby.
Ruby.
It's on top of my tongue. Yeah, Ruby. Congratulations to the pair of them, Ruby Miller and Jack Miller. We're going to have a Junior Miller.
World
be
champion.
interesting.
Future world
Yeah.
champ, I'm telling you.
100%. He's going to have such a good life, though, isn't he? Just riding around dirt bikes on the farm and stuff. Oh, so jealous of that kid already. But, like, going back to the thing, Jack didn't really push Bagnaia last year and didn't
No.
push him the year before. Like, Bagnaia has not had a teammate who is able to not only stay with him, but beat him and battle with him like Bastianini
Yeah.
could last year. And Bastianini now has all the same equipment and tools at his disposal that Bagnaia does. That could throw up some interesting conundrums.
Well, I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Like, obviously, at the second half of the season, we've seen how close Bastianini could get to Bagnaia. And like you said, now that the fact that they're on eco machinery, they're both on the red bikes, like, this is a childhood dream for the both of them. Pecco's got the upper hand here with having the championship under his belt. Enea is going to do absolutely everything he can to make sure that Pecco finishes behind him.
Yeah, he is going to be absolutely throwing the kitchen sink at it.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
genuinely think, like, when you looked at, actually, they even said this on the thing that I was just mentioning in the documentary,
Yeah.
that Bastianini, when he was at Sepang, was riding about 80%. Like, they even said in the garage, they were like, Bastianini's only riding at 80%. They're like, yeah.
That's
Whereas obviously-
scary. That's so terrifying.
Yeah, they're like, he's not even pushing, he's not even trying. And then, because it was in the Yamaha box, they were like, he's not even trying. And they're like, yeah. And then I think Lynn Jarvis was like, he's basically being his bodyguard, being
Yeah.
Bagnaia's bodyguard, which made me laugh because I was like, oh, I did the same thing in 2015. That's hilarious. But-
Team orders? What?
yeah, what? No. But yeah, so that was interesting to see. Obviously, then Bastianini went for the overtake, and it was like clear case that it wasn't being a bodyguard. And then you saw, obviously, the three main Ducati men of Gigi Dall'Igna,
Yeah.
Tardozzi, and what's the last one? I see his face.
Chibati.
That's it, Chibati, going crazy and going like, "What's he doing? What's going on?" Da, 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 da. But that's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out in the Ducati camp, because I think, of course, Bagnaia and Bastianini can both battle for the championship
Yeah.
this year. But will Ducati maybe try and play with that? Will they just let them go, you two battle it out, but then there's a case of like, if one of them has certain to basically get a championship and the other one's like maybe there but maybe not, and they may be taking points off each other, would there be team orders in there maybe?
I'm I'm a bit confused about this one. I think I'm a bit scared that there's too many of them. You've obviously got the three head honchos that you just mentioned and two riders that we know are going to be up there at the front. There's just too many variables, and I think it could all crash and burn or go fantastically well. But then you still are going to end up with if both riders are at the front week in, week out, who wins the championship? Is there going to be a little bit of like playing around with it and team orders basically to who wins the championship? Like, who would they pick? Like, I think they'd pick Pecco over Anea.
Yeah, I think they pick Pecco purely because he's one of the number one.
Yeah, exactly.
He's,
And it would be the
but
second championship, and you want the numbers and the statistics on your side. So it's hard to
yeah,
sort of look past them saying, "Oh no, let Anea win the championship."
yeah, absolutely. I do think though that with Ducati, I do think they would let them kind of just stay out of it maybe and just go, you two sort it out, battle and track.
Yeah,
I do think that would be the case, but if it goes down to Valencia, for example, and there is a third person, for example, Fabio is like within reach, within
yeah,
5 points of it, and them two are scrapping for the thing as well. It'd be interesting to see how Ducati would play it, because Ducati are not scared to go the Formula One route of
yeah,
swap places. We're going to do team orders. They might not say it. They might not come out and go, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, we are doing team orders this weekend. There is clearly some sort of, I wouldn't say manipulation, but there's definitely something in favour of some riders. I don't think
yeah,
necessarily that Bagnaia or Bastianini would be favoured, but I do think that if one of them is closer to the championship than the other one, and there was a third party in play, I do think maybe there'd be a thing of, right, just make sure that you either beat this third party and ensure a Ducati championship,
yeah.
or beat this guy but don't overtake the other guy. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I suppose they've got the comfort in that though, because if the two of them are at the front and you've, say for example, got the likes of Fabio or whoever else it may be, the third person in the championship, they've got all their other bikes at the disposal though, and if they can get those bikes in front of the third party man, they're safe. It doesn't matter then if the two guys at the front are battling and there's a concern then and who's going to win it. If they can get the other Ducatis up there and in like as a buffer basically to the third place man, they're sweet. And whoever then crosses the line first ends up being the world champion. And I think that would be a good way to sort of let it play out if it does get to that stage anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, they've got all the tools at their disposal, with Marini, Bezzecchi, Marquez and all that now, that they can, obviously Zarco, Martin of course as well, they can just kind of go, right, we need you
Yeah.
to get
You're
in front
getting
of
a big
Quartararo.
fat bonus to go and ride in front of this rider here and make sure he doesn't get past you. Like, you've got it, you might as well finesse it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like Bezzecchi at Sepang when he was catching up on Quartararo in the last lap, I do think Bezzecchi, there's a few riders I think really could impress this year. I think Bezzecchi is one of them, Marini definitely another one, and Alex Marquez. All three of them look very, very promising. I think it wouldn't be unreal to expect podiums from all three of them.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be out of the equation to see at least one of them, if not two, potentially all three of them, win a race this year.
I think all three. Definitely all three. It depends, obviously, but Bezzecchi's had his podium already. Alex Marquez has had podiums in the past on the Repsol Honda. So I think now, especially with Alex Marquez sort of stepping out of that Honda shadow, like you don't hear Marquez and Ducati in the same sentence. It's a bit weird. So I think he's really
Mm,
gonna want to prove a lot. And obviously we know the bike's unreal considering Bastianini was on it last year. So
mm.
it's a good bike, and he's gonna want to prove a lot this season, I
Yeah,
think.
absolutely. He's got a lot on his plate now to try and. It's like a last chance saloon kind of thing. It's like a case of
Yeah.
perform or you're out kind of thing. He can perform and he's done it before. Alex Marquez, of course, we're on about. He's got podiums things this year, but he was kind of dumped out of Honda, and he's very well aware that he's now on the championship winning bike, and there is a lot at stake here in terms of his reputation, his career, and things like that. But I do think Alex Marquez can live up to that expectation. I think he's found a good family, a good home there in Gresini.
Mm.
Um, I don't see, unless Salach and Alcoba can pull off an absolute madness this year, I can't see them trying to come for a seat for the next year or two anyway.
See,
So I think he's quite safe there.
I wouldn't be worried about the Moto 2 riders that they have in Gresini. I'd be worried about outside parties. You're looking at the likes of Tony Arbolino and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Very fast, young Italian riders as well. I'm sure they're going to want
yeah.
Italian riders on their Italian bikes. So I think he's to worry about maybe the outside talent in Moto 2. But yeah, I could see him having a solid couple of years here to be able to adapt and to pull off some good performances. So yeah, definitely 2 years. I think we could give Alex Marquez on the Gresini before there's any rash decisions made anyway.
Yeah, especially with obviously Bastianini because he got third place overall last year on the bike, which is really, really, really impressive.
Yeah.
So I do think Alex Marquez is in a good position now to kind of come out of shell and basically show what he can do when he's got the right equipment under his belt and underneath him. Really looking forward to that. There's quite, like we said, with Marini and Bezzecchi as well. Marini obviously topped the test at Sepang. Very impressive. I do think Marini's obviously a slow burner. We've mentioned it before.
Yeah.
Last 2 years, he's kind of takes his time. In Moto 2, he took his time, and then eventually in 2020, he was battling for the championship. His best result was improved to P4 this year. Or last year, sorry. So I do think there is definitely podiums in there for him. It's just a case of him being consistent with it as well. And same with other riders like Johan Zarco. I'd be
This is
interested to see what he can
interesting.
do.
Yeah, like how long are Ducati gonna keep him there? Is he there literally just to be like a test mule basically for them? Because he goes out, performs really well at the first half of the season, then we see it year in, year out. Then the second half of the season comes, and he's the one doing all the tests, like getting all the different parts in, testing all the new aero and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, it's just really strange that you're like, I don't know, the Pramac bike obviously then is the step up to the full factory team. Are they not going to
Mm.
want to get like up and coming riders in, or are they like specifically using the VR46 and the Gresini bike now as their like talent pool to move up? It's like they've moved in a really weird direction, I think, with this.
Yeah, because Pramac was always kind of the B team. They still are. They've got
Yeah,
obviously the current machinery, whereas VR46 and Gresini don't. But I think Zarco's kind of like a rolling test mule, if that makes sense. Like Piro's kind of like one guy situated at some points and will come out for some rounds and do it, whereas Zarco's kind of the guy that will test things throughout the entire season. Has got
yeah,
that consistency of doing it over a full season and knowing the bike. Um, he's always very good in the opening half of the season, and then the second half of the season, he kind of falls back a bit. Um, but it'll be interesting to see. I think hopefully he can get his first win. There's 42 chances this year of him doing it. I think he can probably get a sprint race win if he doesn't get anything.
mm.
Um, but yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I would love to see him get that first victory, but I'd love to see him get a proper victory and not a sprint race victory.
Yeah. I mean, I would take anything just to see a backflip from him again. Because I was
Yeah,
watching, they were doing their like little like rider introductions thing on MotoGP Instagram the other day, and he was like, "Oh,
I saw
my
that.
winning celebration is a backflip," and I was like, "Oh God, yeah, do you remember that?" Like, it's been
Yeah.
so long since we've seen it. So yeah, I think if he could win a race on Sunday, and we get a proper celebration, I don't know, I feel like it could like reignite a fire inside him. Like, I just feel like he's completely lost in the championship. And
Mm.
like, he's such a talented rider. I really think he had the potential to be winning championships. And it sort of just got lost in the Pramac team.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Like his career has been very odd from winning two Moto2
Yeah.
championships to Tech 3, and he was like good there, and then he kind of just, I don't know. He went to KTM and it all went a bit shit. Did the Honda for a little bit, and then he kind of found himself again at Ducati. I think he's got a good home there at Ducati. He's
Yeah.
kind of very happy there. It's just a case of what they're going to do, because there's a lot of talent in Moto2 that's looking to come up in the next years. You know, Aaron Canet, obviously. You've got Celestino Vietti, Tony Arbolino, the big one, Pedro Acosta, who's going to
Yeah.
obviously be trying everything he can to make sure he doesn't sit on a KTM in MotoGP.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just a case of like, because yeah, I don't know. You at the end of the day, you don't want this talent to go to waste for Pedro Acosta, and you see it all the time. You see these absolute stars of riders, incredible riders, come up and then they don't get the bike, sorry, that's great for them, and then they fall back. You know, like I don't want to talk too much about cars, but you look at Formula One, you got a guy called Oscar Piastri who went in and won F3 in
Yeah.
his first attempt. You know, as a rookie, then went into F2 the next year and won that as a rookie as well. Couldn't get a seat on the F1 grid. Gets one now in a McLaren, and they're absolute crap, and he can't, you know, show his talent. You know, and
Yeah.
so you kind of want the best for a rider like Pedro Costa to then be able to get on the machinery where he can flourish and show his talent. And unfortunately, at the moment, or fortunately for him, that seems to be Ducati, and thankfully there are 8 of them on the grid. Maybe 6 if VR46 do revert to Yamaha,
Which
which
I
is,
bloody fingers crossed. I hope so. I
do
think
you?
they need that. Well, maybe not for VR46, but for Yamaha as a whole. I think it'd be a really good
Mm,
move just with the whole everyone complaining about, the big loss that we've
Ducati
had
Cup and all
with Valentino not being in the class anymore. To have a
that. Mm,
VR46 branded Yamaha, I think would bring a lot of people back sort of into it
mm.
and watching it, and I think it would be good for the academy. And yeah, I see it as a good thing if they
Yeah,
did do it.
if they did do it, yeah. The academy's changed a lot in recent years. It's
Yeah.
very strange how it's kind of gone. It's gone from being like where they're trying to nurture talent, but now they've got the talent there. You know, like the Marini Bazecchi, obviously Morbidelli there as well. There is another one on the grid. I can't remember who.
Pecco.
That's it, Pecco, of course. The obvious one. They've kind of stepped back. They've withdrawn their Moto 3 squad. They've withdrawn their Moto 2 squad now, with that obviously now being Fantic.
Yeah.
Antonelli's out of the academy, but kind of still being shown. I don't really know what's going on with Antonelli. Migno's definitely still part of the academy, but I've no idea he's racing this year. He's not on any of the Junior GP entry lists or anything like that. He's not obviously on the Supersport grid. They got rid of Manzi this year. They, I think, are going to get rid of Elia Bartolini now as well. Alberto Sura's gone. So realistically, they're only really focusing on the current MotoGP riders.
It's
And so it's,
strange. Did they get like a little
yeah,
bit big for their boots or something? Like, I feel like they wanted to just nurture so many young and up and coming riders that I think then as soon as you seen someone with the VR46 Academy, you expected them to be like
amazing.
the most unreal rider you've ever seen in your life. And then when it wasn't going that way, like, I feel like sponsors and stuff like that and people wanting to get involved in the academy, then I think it sort
Yeah,
of, I don't know, I feel like people had really unreal expectations for the academy. But like you said, now you've got the 4 academy riders in the premier class, it does sort of make sense that now that they're focusing on those 4 riders. It's a really
yeah.
strange, I don't know, it's really strange that they put all their money into like funding teams and stuff like that, and now there's nothing
Yeah,
really.
yeah. There's like loads and others not. I think maybe it's just because their goal was to try and get some MotoGP riders, some riders
Yeah.
into MotoGP. And now Pecco's won the ultimate prize. It's kind of a case of right, we've achieved everything we want to do. Now we're just going to focus on what we've got,
Yeah.
and then maybe in a few years, when if say Morbidelli's left the class, you know, and the riders are getting a bit older and things like that, they'll look back into it and go, right, okay, we've had the infrastructure before, we'll start
Yeah.
nurturing talent. But it's a weird, yeah, they've kind of stopped. I know some riders like Balega and Baldassari and Foggia all left the academy.
Yeah.
Baldassari left because there was too many riders, and now it doesn't seem to be many riders in there at all. Um, but yeah, I think as time has gone on, things have changed. The fact that they've actually withdrawn their Moto2 team as well is, yeah, it just shows their intent to kind of focus on what they've got now as a Premier Class MotoGP squad. Obviously, it's expensive as well.
Yeah.
And that obviously money will play a big part in that. But Celestino Vietti winning races in Moto2 still good for the brand, but they're just not one of the same sponsors because Fantic are working with Cardoso Racing now. Which have teams all in the junior GP squads and things like that, and they've got like Italian rider Alfano Pasquale things in that races for them, and then Cardoso obviously race with Bo in Moto3 with Anna Carrasco and David Munoz, so it's gone from more of like a Italian kind of thing of trying to push Italian riders back into a Spanish kind of thing.
Yeah.
Borja Gomez raced for Cardoso last year and he's there now. You've got a Greek rider riding for them. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. And you got another guy. I can't remember any of their names. I can remember their faces, but not their names. That's really annoying, isn't it? Let's have a look quickly.
Don't ask me names because I'll never,
No.
I'll never know.
No, so they've gone. Yeah, so that's it. Roberto Garcia, Spanish. Philip Rahacek, that's it. He's Czech, not Greek. And then you got Alfano Pasquale, who is Italian. But it's gone from like more of an Italian thing of getting the Italian riders back. And they've just kind of gone, right, we've got some Italian riders here, and right, you can have a back Spaniard.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But I guess Rossi's kind of done what he wanted to do. He's got his team, and so that's how it goes now, really. But
I suppose the end goal surely was always to get to MotoGP, and now they've been there, well, since basically Marini moved up and he was all the VR46 sponsorship. I know some of the other Academy riders were already in the class, but to have your actual VR46 branded bike was the end goal. I mean, I assume anyway.
Yeah. I just wonder about what's going to happen in the future. For example, if Marini and Bezecchi, obviously they're Academy riders, if, I don't know, Tony Arbolino needed a spot in MotoGP and Marini had moved to Pramac, for example, and there was a spot, and they've got, the only rider they've got then in Moto2 is Celestino Vietti, and he'd signed up for Pramac as well, for example. Like, they're going to reach a point where they're going to have to sign non-Academy riders to their team.
Yeah. Yeah, because all these younger riders in lower classes have sort of not disappeared, but the talent pool, like we said, in the academy is a lot smaller now. So yeah, you do sort of wonder, are they going to be looking elsewhere? Because yeah, the likes of Marini and Bezzecchi are going to want to take a step up onto current bikes rather than running around on a satellite team the whole time. And I know Pramac technically is a satellite team, but you're on the exact same Ducati as the factory team, so that's automatically a step up. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do look outside their talent pool. I don't see it though, which is
it's just weird. Maybe they'll bring it back up maybe in a few years and try, because you're not going to put Andrea Migno on. No.
Maybe that's what's happening. Yeah, we're gearing up to see him on the 2024 MotoGP grid.
Maybe,
you heard it here first.
Yeah, speaking of Moto2 and 3 quickly as well, like they've obviously had the tests at Portimao, and of course in Moto2 it was none other than Pedro Acosta who was the fastest rider. I mean, comes as a surprise to absolutely no one.
No.
Because Pedro Acosta just seems to be the best thing since sliced bread at the moment. Yeah. Like, it's hard to look past him now as a championship fighter,
well,
Like,
yeah,
there's
but
a lot.
Ayagura?
Agura, of course, looks really good. Fernando looks really good. Aaron Canet, of course. Chantra, Arbolino, Lowe's, of course, as well. But it just seems to be that, I don't know, Pedro's got that thing about him. Some riders just have it.
What, that he's Pedro Acosta? Yeah.
Yeah, that he's Pedro Acosta, and it's hard to... it's a bit... he's just got this pizzazz about him, hasn't he? That I don't see any other rider having this kind of speed for this year. Like, I'd be very surprised if he doesn't win the championship.
To be fair, when you look at sort of riders past, you look at Marc Marquez And who has sort of come after him as someone who, like, the generational talents? And this sounds so up Pedro Acosta like, but
Yeah.
at the minute, all signs are pointing that way. I'm not going to put him in the same boat as Marc Marquez yet, or
No.
Valentino Rossi, or Jorge Lorenzo, or all these, great riders that we all call goats. But, like, all the signs are pointing towards that this is what's going to happen for him. If his career keeps going the way it's going, he is going to be unstoppable, I think.
Oh yeah, he's definitely like we say, like a generational talent.
Yeah.
There is really like, I don't know. There's just not really any other riders you can look past and be like, yeah, you know what? Like, they could kind of be better than him. Like you
Yeah.
look at obviously when Mark came in, of course he came up really quickly and really
Yeah.
impressed in the junior categories and things like that. Fabio Quartararo obviously really impressed in the Chev when it was the Chev, but then kind of failed to impress in Moto 2 until he won the race. Obviously struggled in Moto 3 and has come up and he is a superb rider.
Whoever talent spotted him, I hope he's lying in a nice sunny villa somewhere.
That's
Like,
Ramazali, isn't
yeah,
it?
like, I swear to God, like, to be able to pick someone out like that
Yeah.
is absolutely incredible because he came into MotoGP and half the people were going,
Like, what the hell are
what?
you doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there are a few riders like that too that I think in Moto 2 at the minute, they're sort of just thereabouts, slightly further back the field that you wouldn't even think that are sitting there that are exactly the same, like in the same position as Fabio Quartararo was a couple of
Mm.
years ago, that are just waiting for
Yeah.
spots to free up.
Yeah, like there are some Moto2 riders I think that could hop on a MotoGP bike and do
Yeah.
incredibly well. Like Manuel Gonzalez would definitely be one for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't like because Fabio is superb. Of course, he's a MotoGP world champion, and what he was able to do last year is amazing. And obviously even Pecco has said, Fabio is probably the most talented rider on the grid right now.
Mm.
Is he a generational talent though? I would say no.
No, but it's different when I suppose when you look at generational talents, like you do automatically go, well, in my mind anyway, I go Valentino Rossi, Marc Marquez, and now I'm looking towards Pedro Acosta. We're waiting to see on that one.
Time will tell, yeah.
Yeah, but then you're looking at talented riders, Casey Stoner, Danny Pedrosa, Jorge
The
Lorenzo,
alien.
like freaks of nature, but they're
Yeah.
like that's just not the same thing, if that makes
No.
any sense whatsoever. Like, I don't know, these people are talented and like yeah, like you said, freaks of natures, aliens, but
Hmm.
it's different than being that one generational talent. And that's the
Yeah.
thing, is that the freaks of nature can never beat the generational talents, I don't think.
No. Yeah, like if you had like I don't want to go on ifs and buts because like if my grandma had a wheel, she'd be a bike and all that malarkey. But as Gino De Campo eloquently said on TV once, if you even get that reference. But like we say about generation talents, like if Marquez had raced 2020, 2021, 2022, and the Honda was up to scratch, I would think personally, from my own opinion, we'd be sitting on at least a 10-time champion, if
Yeah.
not an 11. Obviously that would be
I think he would have said 10 and then, all right, I'm out of here.
dear. Like it just beat
Well,
Ross's record and go.
unless it was he was able to beat Agostini's record,
I
because
think yeah.
like any rider's gonna want to beat Rossi's because then that puts them up there. But
At the
then if you're
top,
looking at the
yeah.
actual record books, you're gonna have to go the extra mile.
15. I
Yeah.
think if Marquez was on an 11 now, coming into the season with 12, and he's only 30 years old, I reckon he could easily have stared down the barrel of 15 titles.
Do you end up like Rossi though,
What, where you kind of
wishing for that 10th championship where you're
to the
just
point where you can't do it?
yeah, it then sort of goes the wrong way for you.
Like Lewis Hamilton at the moment, wishing for that 8th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everything, he's been geared up to beat Schumacher for years now, and it's not happening. And I don't, like, you're looking at it now, you're going, it's not gonna happen. Like with Mark
gonna
now,
happen.
I don't know. Even getting to 10,
Yeah.
I still don't see it now.
Yeah, because Mark was geared up to beat Rossi.
Yeah,
Mark was geared up to, beat Rossi's records, and he got to 8 and it all kind of fell apart for him, obviously through his own doing.
Yeah.
We may add, it wasn't like like an alien came down and fucked up for him.
Yeah.
Mark unfortunately was the victim of his own
It was
actions.
bound to happen though. Like,
It was, yeah. He was
no
like,
one could crash the amount that he crashes and walk away unscathed.
yeah, not that many times.
No.
Not with the velocity and strength of the accidents that he had, you know. Um, yeah, it's just interesting. Like, and then you look, obviously, because we are doing a Portimao preseason thing. You look to it now, and you look at how he looks now on the bike, and like
It's different.
I couldn't pip him for a podium this weekend. I couldn't do it. I don't think I could.
Not
Because as
well.
much as he's talented and as much as he's got it there, he's like, because I remember again, I'm going back to this documentary because it was really good. Marquez, when he came back, he said on documentary that it was like he had changed manufacturers. It was
Yeah.
like he had jumped onto a different brand's bike. The Honda was that radically different, and I think he's probably, although obviously Jacob so eloquently would say that Marquez could win on a 1987 Bultaco. Um, I
Okay.
just, yeah, I just don't think that the bike is what it was for him, obviously, and he can't.
No. Well, you do like to hope that he's back at 100%. He says it himself, he's back at 100%. But after going through what he's gone through, he will
Mm,
never be the same rider again. You know, he had to go through a couple of years of riding differently, you know, where he had to put his arm in a complete different position. He couldn't save the
yeah,
bike how he used to. You know, all those surgeries, like, okay, yeah, he might be at 100% and he might be in the same mindset that he was in 2019, for example, but he will never be the same, and it is hard to sort of see how he would be able to reproduce performances like how
mm,
he used to after everything that he's been through.
yeah, yeah, and you wonder. You look at the championship this year, and obviously because we want to see Marquez in the battle. Obviously, we want
I
to
think
see
he will
Marquez going.
be. I think he will be in the
Yeah,
battle.
yeah, you want to see him go toe to toe against Bagnaia, against because it is like I made a post the other day. I actually did not read the comments because I knew, oh my god, they would be. Oh, I saw that it was like over 60 on Facebook, and I was like, I am not reading those. But I made a post, and it was just Fabio chasing Marquez, and I was like, it's the
Mm,
old generation versus the new, you know, or old generation and the new, because Marquez, unfortunately, which sounds horrific to say, is one of the oldest riders on the grid now, and
that's
is part of the old
scary.
generation. Yeah, he is part of that generation that did race against the prime. Well, not maybe not prime Rossi, but against the prime Lorenzo, against the
Mm,
Danny Pedrosa, who was in his best years of his career, the twilight of his career, and you want to see what Marquez can do against these young guns at his full peak potential.
yeah.
Can he do it? Like with the whole Marquez versus Stoner thing, you want to see who could win that battle, and obviously the riders now are faster than ever. They're bred from little kids to go and reach the top. They've all got these academies. Pecco and Cottararo both came through the Estrella Galicia academies. The Monlau schools. Marquez himself came through it. Alex Marquez came through it. Alex Rins came through it. And Marquez as well obviously came through Monlau. But it was a different time then, and the bikes weren't as good then, and bikes weren't as Fabio Cottararo. If you compare Quattaro in Moto 3 and Moto 2 to Marquez in Moto 2 and Moto 3, Marquez, when he was in Moto 5, had the best bike by a country mile. In
Mm,
Moto 2, he had, as Anthony West would say, this is a little quote from him, Marquez had an illegal ECU, according to Anthony West, and illegal parts, and so Marquez had a bit of an advantage there, whereas Fabio rode the Estrella Galicia Moto 3 and the Leopard, which was identical, the same bike to everyone else on that grid. And then in Moto 2, you had the Calex, and it's identical to the rest of the grid because they're all on bloody Calexes as well. And Fabio has then had to work to extract that extra 10% that no one else could. Whereas Marquez never did, which is why you see, because obviously he had some advantages, that's not discounting his talent. But then it makes you wonder if Marquez now could go toe to toe against Fabio, who also can ride around the issues of a struggling motorbike and extract the potential. And it does make you wonder, and I would like to see how those two can fight, if they can fight against each other this year, you know?
Yeah, I think they will be. And I've said it before, it's an interesting one that when you actually look at the 2023 grid, Fabio Quartararo is the only one who's gone toe to toe with Marc Marquez.
Yeah,
Prime
as a
Marc
rookie, yeah.
Marquez and as rookie Fabio Quartararo. Like, Fabio wasn't in his prime. I still don't think he is in terms of his career, but like the fact that how he raced in 2021 to win that championship was very different to how he was racing against Marc Marquez in 2019. That's a very, very exciting prospect. I sort of wish we could just take Ducatis out of it though and
Yeah.
sort of just
Just
see
go
what
to
would
the guys
happen,
and see what happened,
because
yeah.
this is the racing that I want to see, and it's kind of annoying that there's just really good bikes on the
With the
grid that
guys. Yeah.
are going to ruin it. But I
Yeah.
really do think that Fabio and Marquez will be fighting a lot this year, but in a really good way.
Mm.
So I see it as that Ducati could have issues, and you're gonna have Fabio Quartararo and Marc Marquez and a few others, Aprilia, who are gonna sweep up the pieces basically, and be there to sort of win when it all goes
Yeah.
wrong, if it all goes wrong for
If
Ducati.
it goes wrong, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, with Pecco, like, he's obviously proven to ride around issues as well. He won races on the Mahindra Moto 3.
Mm.
You know, and it's going to be interesting to see, because Pecco is, I would say now, the complete article. He's built for that bike. He is perfect
Yeah.
for that bike. That Ducati is perfect for him. That's why he could go out and set a new lap record in blooming Portimao test instead of 37 lap time, you know. And having a rider who is that perfect, like when Stoner was on, you
Mm.
know, the Ducati, and he could kind of handbrake turn it everywhere, and on the Honda, you know, Stoner and that package was just unbeatable. It was really untouchable. And I think Bagnaia is pretty much untouchable, I think, going into the season. And so to see maybe Marquez, who is obviously regarded as one of the greatest riders to ever walk this planet, you know, if you go into the GOAT, if you're going to talk about GOATs, you know, yes, obviously we always go to Rossi, we always go to Hailwood and Agostini, but if you wanted to go fourth, Marquez is very much
Oh
got his
yeah,
hat in that
he's there.
ring.
Yeah. People have to realize
Um,
that now. I feel like I've been humbled in my opinion. I never was a fan of
yeah,
Marquez growing up, but like you sort of have to go, oh God, yeah, like he is up there. He like
he
what
is.
he
Yeah.
did was incredible. I think with Pecco though, like yeah, he's the perfect package and like setting all these lap times and all coming into the season. But it's all well and good being the fastest rider on track, but like if he gets caught up in these battles, which could happen,
Mm.
I don't see him coming out on top. I really hope the racing is close this year.
I do as well, because the aero and all that has just absolutely smashed, just
Yeah.
ruined the racing. And I think when you have the ability to battle, you know, Jorge Lorenzo, when you go back to Lorenzo, was so good because he could just escape.
Yeah.
That was his trademark, that he could just escape and he could set perfect laps. If he was painting a line on that track with his tyres, every lap it would just be one singular line. You wouldn't have
Yeah.
different lines around each corner. It'd be one singular line because he could hit every millimetre of every corner and every lap for 30 laps and win the race by 10 seconds easily. And I think Bagnaia can definitely do that. And you see him maybe get a bit flustered when he's got Bastianini all over him. He can still win against Bastianini, as we saw in Sepang. And he can also win against Marc Marquez, as we saw in Aragon a few years ago. And Bagnaia can battle. But it's a case of not letting him get away, because if he gets away and makes a break for it, he's gone.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see if they can kind of do that. And then you look back, if we go back to an early point about Ducati, maybe the Ducati riders will be told, if you can't attack Bagnaia, you know, if you can't get him in the opening bit, let him disappear, because he'll win the race.
And you're a
You know,
roadblock then? That's the
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
And you don't want that to happen, of course. We don't want any. We're not inferring that Ducati would do that. It's just obviously a potential. You know, these things can happen. But yeah, it's just very interesting. I think
How did we go back onto that after we started on Moto 2 talking about
I
Pedro
don't even
Costa?
know. I don't know, because we were talking about generational
Yeah.
talents, and I think
Yeah.
Mark's obviously a generational talent. I don't see any other generational talents, but we do have one that could this year turn him, make a name for himself with obviously Jose Antonio Rueda in Moto3, finishing second place
Yeah.
in the Moto3 test. There was some tricky weather conditions and things like that. You have to take that into account, but he is the first rider in history to win the Red Bull Rookies and the Junior GP Championships in the same season. No other rider has done that before. Riders have come very close to it, but no rider has been able to do that. Then he's stepped on the IO bike, which is obviously where Pedro Acosta was able to find his form and do really well. And he is setting 1 minute 47.9 in the test, which, if I go to, I'll just try and compare it quickly to this MotoGP class. Why is MotoGP's website not showing Moto 2 and 3 results anymore? I was gonna go back and have a look and see. Oh, right, there we go, Moto 3. Nice, thank you there. Let's go back to Portimao and just check the Q2 times and compare it. There you go. All-time lap record is a 47.2. Rueda was second in the test with a 47.9. Oh no, wait. He did a 47.2 in session 2.
No
So
way.
The lap record is, and he was second in that session. The lap record in Moto3 is 1:47.274. Sergio Garcia set in 2021. In the test, an unofficial lap time was 1:47.262, which is faster than the lap record.
Oh my god.
He was beaten by by Ricardo Rossi
Yeah.
by 0.05. But the fact that Rueda in his first test has gone faster than the lap record. Wow.
See, this is the thing. Now, Pedro Acosta is sitting at the top of the could he be the next generational talent? Then you've got Izan Guevara, who is sitting underneath him, and now you've got Rueda. Like, it's really hard. I would not want to be in their position moving up through the classes now, because they're all going to get to MotoGP within a few years of each other. And I think that, like, when you look now at the young talent up and coming, like, we haven't even hit the peak in most of people's careers in MotoGP at the minute. But when you look at what's coming up in the next 5 to 6 years, I'd be scared. Like, I'd be
terrified.
really scared.
Yeah. Well, like, I called it the Spanish Armada a few years ago. There was a group of riders, I'll name them in a second, who they're all part of the same group. They all race in the Red Bull Rookies together, and they're all basically Spanish, of course. They've all come through, like, the Cuna de Campeones and the
Is this not like
Galicia
Rins and
squad,
Vinales and all?
It's like that. Yeah, it's basically a second coming of the Spanish Armada.
Right, okay.
So you've got Rueda in there, you've got Munoz in there, you've got Holgado in there, Diego Moreira, yeah, he's Brazilian, but he's part of that squad. David Alonso is another one. Ferro's Italian, but he is superb. Ivan Otola, we'll go back to the only Spaniard ones quickly. Ivan Otola, David Salvador is also another one.
Yeah.
And then you've got, obviously, Izan Guevara, who very much just made his way and managed to, like, surpass all these other guys, and obviously he's already Moto2. Pedro Costa was part of the thing. Javier Artigas was, but he's not performing as we kind of hoped he would. Fermin Aldeguer is part of that Spanish Armada. Sergio Garcia as well. Budge Gomez could be another one who's like, there's an influx of these like 10 Spanish riders who I've personally said, I wrote an article on it last year, can go all the way to MotoGP very quickly.
Yeah, but this is what I was thinking though, because if you look slightly more than 10 years ago, you had Maverick Vinales, Alex Rins, Marquez's, all that coming up through, and it's like, the second coming, basically. It's happening again, and it happened sort of just over 10 years ago now, and it's really scary, and I'd be really, like, if I was a rider, I'd be terrified.
Yeah, that's it, and it's no wonder, obviously, that Spanish riders obviously dominate it because of the infrastructure they've got, and it's why riders like Scott Ogden and things like that had to go to Spain. Dennis Roncu as well, had to go to Spain to try and take advantage of all this. You've got American riders like Kenzai, can't remember his surname. Can never remember his surname. Kenzai is a Japanese rider. No, he's not. He's Japanese American.
Yeah.
Racing in Moto 5 this year in the Spanish Championship. They have to go over to Spain to kind of take these advantages. And it's no wonder you are seeing purely Spanish riders. That's why, going back to a previous point, the VR46 Academy was so good because it was
Yeah,
great at getting Italians
Italians.
in there.
Yeah.
And then there was a massive influx of Italians in Moto 2 and Moto 3, which was fantastic. And now they're just kind of like teetering off. We've had some Italians come through, but they've all come through Spanish programs. One, Matteo Battel, did come through Italian program, to be fair, came through the Chiv
Mm.
and then through VR46 slightly, doing some races for them. But he came through the Italian system, but did a lot of time in the junior GPs. You got Filippo Ferroli, who's raced for predominantly Spanish teams in Spanish championships and in the junior GP. A lot of these Italians have to take advantage of what the Spaniards can give them as well.
Well, that's the thing, because I can't remember who said it or if we've spoken about it before, but like these young Spanish riders are hitting their peak when they're like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, like Moto 3, Moto 2 age, and
Mm.
then they're getting their seats in Moto GP. But when you look at even like the British riders, Jake Dixon, for example, what age is he now? 26? And like
26, 27,
he's
yeah.
getting into his prime now because he was behind everyone else and he's had to learn everything, and now he's sort of up there and could be battling for the championship this year. Sam Lowes
Mm.
took a very long time to sort of get into the swing of things. I think it's great now that we have Scott Ogden and Josh Watley in this Moto 3 championship, giving them
Mm.
a slight head start, but they've had to be in Spain for years before that, competing in these sort of younger championships to even get them on a Moto 3 seat. So yeah, the Spanish sort of take over, but
Yeah.
there is flourishes now of maybe programs, or now you've got like the Vision Track team and stuff like that that will hopefully help
British,
promote
British riders.
British riders, American racing team and Moto 2. Like hopefully it will eventually become a stage where it is even to some
Yeah.
extent. I don't know. It's a
No.
possibility, but
Yeah,
we'll
but then
see.
we'll have to see them go through the same Spanish programs, which is like it's a bit annoying that
Yeah.
the British, you've got BSB, which is a fantastic championship all the way through, and yes, you've had riders like Rory Skinner, Jake Dixon, things like that, who have been able to go from the Premier British class to Moto 2, which is amazing, of
Yeah.
course. But you don't see riders like in the Supersport class or they don't have a Moto 3 series anymore. They've just got they've got the Road to Moto GP, which is they've got them all in the British Talent Cup. And the stepping stone from the British Talent Cup isn't into Moto 3,
Yeah.
it's into the European Talent Cup, riding the same bike just in Europe. You got the champion Johnny Garnis last year, who is now going to continue in the British Talent Cup because of the age limit, and also race in the European Talent Cup in Spain, against the Spanish riders again and things like
Yeah.
that. And it's great for Spanish riders. And like Emmanuel Brinton, he's of the Estrella Galicia Manuel squad. You got, what's his name? Casey O'Gorman. Obviously,
Mm.
he's now doing superb job in the Rebel Rookies as well. But it's nice to see that there are more talents coming through. But as we say, going back to the earlier point, it's like, where will these kids get spot with the Spanish riders coming through as well?
But like, where are any of them gonna get spots too? Like, there's gonna have to be some massive upset.
There's
Like,
gonna be some clear outs in MotoGP.
there's gonna have to be, and you're sort of starting to wonder where the hell that's gonna happen though, because there's riders who have been there for a long time now that are established, but then you get the likes of Alicia Spagaro. Now I know his example is probably a bit dramatic that he's been there sort of 18, 19 years now, but
Mm.
it's clear to see that some riders need time, and if someone like that can come in and make a bike race winning and champion, like be it championship potential, you don't want to get rid of them for some youngster who might be able to do it.
Mm.
So it's going to be hard for the team bosses. Do you gamble on rookies, or
Mm.
do you stick with the people who are working hard and working towards championships?
Yeah, we're gonna see like an F1 where there's like a ton of really fast riders in F2, being shipped out to like World Superbikes and things like that
But they're gonna
because
have to be shipped back
no
in.
seats.
This is the
Yeah,
thing.
it's weird, isn't it? Like, because when you look at the grids, the MotoGP grid is outstanding, but then there's a number of riders on there that you look at and you go, I could see you getting removed. You know, even it like race winners. You know, we'll go through right quickly. If
It's
Augusto Fernandez
brutal.
doesn't cut the mustard, gone.
He's
Gigi
gone
doesn't
at
cut the
the end of the
mustard, gone.
year. This is the thing.
Yeah,
Augusto
true. When Pedro
Fernandez,
comes
I
on.
would hate to be him.
Oh yeah, he is like, oh shit, you know.
Yeah.
Fabio Digia, Nakagami, Franco Morbidelli, Espargaro, Jack Miller, maybe Rins, Vinales potentially. You know, all those riders are amazing riders, best in the
Mm.
world. You know, outstanding riders. Well, nearly all of them are world champions, outstanding riders. They're not cutting the mustard, and Izan Guevara's available, and Pedro Costa's available, and Sergio Garcia's just won a Moto2 World Championship. Then, you know, you're not going to get a seat. And you look at riders like Aaron Canet, who was looking really good.
Yeah.
He very much has a chance to get leapfrogged by Izan Guevara and
This is the
leapfrogged by
problem
Pedro
now.
Costa.
Moto 2 is too stacked. They're coming into a massive problem now because you've got the likes of Aaron Canet, Albert Arenas, Jake Dixon, Tony Arbolino sort of starting to fall into that category now.
Mm,
Joe Roberts, Lorenzo Dalla Porta, like a lot of riders now that have been there for a couple of years. The next logical step is for them to move up. But all these buddies coming behind them, you know, at 18 years old, are now also starting to make that step up, and it's not adding up. Like the scale is all wrong. That
mm,
yeah, a lot of these riders could be stuck in Moto 2 now. Where do you
yeah.
go? And these people like Pedro Acosta, Izan Guevara, Rueda in a couple of years are all going to be wanting MotoGP seats at the same time.
And they'll always go, obviously, to the younger ones. And then you send. It's probably why World Supersport, the grid's so stacked in there. You know, you got Manzi, you got Nicola Balega, you got obviously Jorge Navarro, Marcel Schrotter. You know, some really top talents that really could have made it to MotoGP,
Mm-hmm.
given, you know, a few more good results from them. And MotoGP contracts could have been on their way, you know, and they're being shipped off to Supersport Championships and things like that because there's just no seats. And I guess it's like suffering from success, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I think in the next 10 years it's gonna be really interesting. Obviously, not every rider will make it, of course,
No.
and which is a shame. And there is too much talent for the seats. You know, when you see riders like David Salvador having to take another year in the Junior GP because there was no, you know, obviously couldn't afford his bow seat, but
Yeah.
um. You know, you see riders like that who have the potential to get on the podium in the Moto3 World Championship who can't get a seat because he ain't got the money for it. And yeah, it's going to be a very interesting season and very interesting the next 5-10 years to see who gets shipped off. And like you say, there is going to be some upsets, like when we saw Iker Corona get shipped off to World Superbikes and stuff like that,
Exactly.
and you're
That
like,
was
what the
the
hell?
stupidest decision ever made. Like, and there's
Mm,
going to be a lot of upsets. I think there's riders who should leave the championship probably aren't going to end up leaving the championship, and then riders that shouldn't be gone are going to get the boot for these young and up and
mm,
coming riders. I think that's a worrying thing that could happen.
yeah, it is. It is very worrying. Um, Yeah, but I guess if you're not cutting the mustard, then you got to go, and it's a brutal sport, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we will. Right then, we've kind of yapped on about random shit today, which fuck it, why not? You know.
It's not what we
Uh,
planned on doing at all.
no, but you know what? It's fine, is what it is. But we'll do some predictions because if you listened to the podcast last year, you'll know we did predictions at the end. No, before every race weekend, we did predictions for who got pole, third, second, and first in the MotoGP races. And we scored you on the points, and now we're doing the sprint race winner as well.
Oh God.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. Oh my god, there we go, copy paste. So yeah, we're basically going to do the sprint race as well. I'm just going to input the point sprint race winner. So This is how the points are laid out. I'm going to record this once and then Cameron can clip it.
For the rest of the year.
Yeah, and the rest of the year. So, with our predictions, this is how the points are laid out. You get 1 point for correctly predicting a rider to be on any place on the podium. You additionally get a single point if you predict pole position. For each class, we'll do Moto3, Moto2 and MotoGP. You get 5 points if you manage to correctly predict pole position for Moto2, Moto3 and MotoGP. If you get a correct podium position for second or third, so for example, if you picked Quartararo to get third and he finishes third, you get 5 points. If you correctly predict the race winner, you get 10 points. If you correctly predict the sprint race winner, you'll also get 10 points. If you get the podium, all 3 riders on the podium correct, but they're out of position, you get 15 points. If you incorrectly predict the podium positions, but you get pole position, we'll give you 20 points. So same thing as 15 points, but you get pole. If you get the podium and positions correct, you get 25 points. If you get podium positions correct and pole correct, we'll give you 30. And if you can get podium and pole in all 3 classes, we'll give you 100 points.
I hope you are ready to lose this year, boys. I swear to God I am winning it this year.
I won it last year by a country mile, and I'm coming for my title.
I almost did an Alonso Lopez. If I had a couple more weeks, I would have been up there.
Yeah, to be fair, you did come in and absolutely destroy Jacob and all that, so
exactly.
You did pretty good. But it's a new year, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new light. I did get some from Cameron, but he hasn't given me his pole positions, which is great. Love that from Cameron. So we're gonna have to do it without Cameron's pole positions, but we will go with Moto3 first. So I'm gonna pick for pole position. I'm gonna go with Sasaki. What about you, Lauren?
Oh, I was going to go with him, but I'm going to pick someone different because I don't want to pick the same people.
Right.
Oh, that's kind of a shout. Romano Fenati.
Oh, yeah, Romano Fenati back in Moto3. Could be an interesting one, you know. Cameron obviously hasn't picked one. Third place, please, for the podium, Lauren.
Oh, there's so many people I want to pick. Dennis Onshu.
Onshu, good shout, good shout. His brother just won in the Super Sports, so maybe Onshu could pick a win out. Maybe. Third place, I'm gonna go with Sasaki as well. I'm gonna go pole to third. Cameron's gone with Fenati to make a podium on his return. Second place, I have gone for Onshu. Cameron's gone Sasaki, and you have gone with.
I have gone with. I should have thought about this before. I have gone with Rueda.
Nice. Okay, Rueda. Good shout. Good shout.
I think he'll start strong.
Do well. Okay. Well, me and Cameron have gone for Rueda to win. So.
Oh, no! I can't believe you've done that. Okay.
Whoops. Starting very strong.
Okay. Oh God! Right.
Who are you going for the winner?
Oh, I don't know. Winner. So I've gone with Onshu Rueda. I'll back Sasaki, you know.
Sasaki? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair shout. Sasaki. Nice. Good shout. Okay. Right. Moto2 pole position.
Right.
I'm going to go Pedro Acosta just because it's Pedro Acosta. Yeah, okay, whatever.
I think it'll be Aaron Canet.
Canet, okay. Nice. He racked up a few poles last year, to be fair. Third place, Cameron went for Sam Lowe's. Okay.
Interesting.
Do you know,
I would, yeah, I want to see it happen.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to pick him.
No, I'm not going to pick him either, Jesus Christ. No, I've kind of counted out Agura because I don't have much faith with him this year. I don't know, it's weird.
No,
I'm not thinking it.
I think it'd be silly to rule him out, but I don't think the
Yeah,
first race of the season is going to be him at his strongest.
yeah, that's a fair shout.
How do you come
So,
back from what happened last year?
yeah, God, that was an upset, wasn't it? So, third place on the podium, I'm going to go with. Flipping it, there's too many. Arbolino, why not?
Okay.
Arbolino. Who are you going to go for?
I'm going to go Jake Dixon.
Dixon. Dick's out for Dixon.
Yeah.
Third place as always for Dixon. He loves that third place, doesn't
Yeah.
he?
I think he'll get this third place, and then I'm expecting bigger and better things from him in the races
Okay.
to come. If he doesn't win a race this year, I'm going to stop supporting him. I'm telling you that now.
Understandable.
That's a joke. I really like Jake. Don't take
Yeah,
me
he's
seriously with that
alright.
one.
No. Okay, second place. Myself and Cameron have gone for Canet. Which is
Okay.
really annoying because they've pretty much gone for the same winner as well. I did
Oh.
that bit 3.
Okay.
Who are you going for second?
I think it'll be Tony Arbolino.
Arbolino. Okay, good shout. I mean, I've gone for him third, so podium is points anyway. Who have you gone for the winner?
Can be none other than Pedro Acosta.
Yeah, me and Cameron have gone with the same.
Oh, see when we get really humbled on Sunday when it's not
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, we're like, what the hell?
Oh,
Right, MotoGP pole position. I'm going to go with Bagnaia just because he smashed the lap record.
Jorge Martin.
Just- Jorge Martin, I mean, fair shout. He's a pole hound after all. Sprint race winner, please.
I don't know. I really don't know. I think it'll be someone stupid. I say
Yeah.
stupid. Stupid isn't what I mean. Like
Yeah,
someone.
like out of the box. Like,
Yeah. Oh, do you know what I'm gonna put down? Just because I want to see it happen. Alex Rins.
Nice, yeah.
Just because
Wins
I
the
want.
last race on
Yeah.
Suzuki, and then
Yeah.
although it won't officially count. You know, like with the Rossi stat, where it's like Rossi won the last race on the
Yeah.
Valencia, and then the first race on the Yamaha. That it won't count towards the official
It'll
thing.
count in my
But it'd be
eyes.
cool. It'd be
Because I
nice,
don't see him
it'd be
winning the
nice.
race on Sunday,
No, I don't. No chance.
but it would be a nice piece of history,
Yeah,
unofficially.
it would. Yeah, it would. Yeah. Third place. Oh, Cameron went with Zarco as well. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So third place, please, Lauren.
I think it'll be Zarco.
Third place. Okay. Yeah. I mean, fair enough. Zarco likes a good old third. He likes like second and third places. He'll take a lot of in the early season and then disappear. So you've gone Zarco third. I have gone with Mark Marquez. I need to specify Mark because Alex is very much in contention now.
I wanted to say
Mark,
Mark. I
okay.
did want to say Mark.
Yeah, Mark. And Cameron's gone with Fabio Quartararo.
Okay.
Yeah, not a bad shout. Second place, I have gone out of the box a little bit with Luca Marini.
No, he's not just gonna come straight in and go second place. I don't think.
You know, it'll be like a slow burner.
Yeah, it'll be building
Yeah.
towards it. I genuinely see him getting like a fifth, a fourth, a third, a second, and then a first. Like
And
I
then a first, yeah.
genuinely see it building like that.
Yeah, understandable. Yeah, I mean, could happen. Okay, Cameron's gone with Pecco second, Bagnaia second, which is an intriguing.
Oh my
one.
god, you know someone I've just completely forgotten about? I just forgot about Bashanini.
Yeah, I put him for a sprint race winner. So.
Oh, I was thinking there, and then I was like, wait a second.
Wait, who's that guy?
I've disregarded Ducati completely.
Yeah, don't underestimate Ducati. As we found out last year.
Oh god. Okay.
They've just emailed me to say they've extended a Shell partnership with Shell, so that's nice of them.
Brilliant. Oh no, I'm sticking with my. Yeah, I'll stick with my guns. I'll stick with who I've thought of.
Okay, second place, please.
Alicia Spagro.
Oh, Alicia, nice. Okay, good shout. Fair bout. I completely disregarded him myself, to be fair. So, whoops. For the win, I've gone with Bagnaia because hard to look past him, unfortunately. Well, maybe not, unfortunately. Cameron for the winner has gone with Vinales. which is an interesting one.
Not at Portimao.
No, very odd one, Cameron. But I respect your opinion and all that. Lauren, who have you gone for?
I have gone for Fabio Quartararo.
Okay. Any reason why?
First few races of the season are always mad, and I think he won there last year very convincingly. So, no thoughts, just vibes for this one.
Yeah, just vibe. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Great. Well, those are our positions. Oh my god! I can't talk. I just read the word positions and then said it, and then went wed instead of red. God Almighty!
It's gonna be a long year, guys.
Yeah. Oh my god! No wonder people are gonna be unsubscribing for the podcast in no time. Like, why have I signed up for this crap? But yes, I hope you've enjoyed listening to our first podcast of the 2023 season. Sorry if we rumbled too much. I'm sure I'm not going to be sorry. It's my podcast to talk what I want.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed listening, and we're back next week after the races with our thoughts on the races. So yeah.
And I can prove everyone that I was right.
Haha, no. Anyway. Yeah, thank you for listening, and we're back next time. Goodbye.
Bye.